thank you, TM Mariam, for sharing with us the power of knowledge. And next in line we have the speaker who belongs to the financial industry, holds 14 years of experience. And if I were to describe him in 3 words, it would be the source of energy. In fact, I would say positive source of energy. In fact, tremendous source of energy. And we have the TM Majid Akhtar, and next up, he will be evaluated by TM Rusa Kabul. Let's have the project details from TM Rusa.
TM Majid will be giving his his speech from Effective Coaching Level 2, Understanding Your Communication Style. The purpose statement of his speech is to learn about different communication styles and identify his or her primary style and share the impact of his style on others. The time limit for his speech is 5 to 7 minutes, and the topic he has chosen is cooperative communication. So, TM Majid, on the stage.
So who wants to communicate? Who can live without communication? Is there any person in this world who can live without communication? Yes, there you go, this gentleman. But even then, even when he is not having oral communication, he needs to talk through verbal action, through the body language. Nobody can live without communication. When a child takes birth, that child needs to talk to mother to have his or her needs, satisfied. A salesperson cannot sell the product without having this product properly, persuasively, talked about. A teacher cannot communicate the knowledge without having that knowledge imparted well. So this all is actually telling us the importance of communication. Communication is basically the exchange of ideas. When we talk, when we communicate, we exchange our ideas. Two people only can exchange ideas ideally in the best form when we are actually conversing with each other. So communication, if this is that important, then should we really know exactly how should we communicate? Is this really important to learn how the communication should be done? Well, yes. If this thing is that important, then everybody should have a special emphasis to learn the best way a communication can be done. You see. So there are different ways people communicate. There are different reasons why people in fact communicate. People deliver speeches. Those speeches can be informative speeches. People talk. Those discussions, that speech can be, discussion can be based on information. A person might be exchanging only the information. There is another type of communication which which is persuasive, speaking. In that persuasive speaking, what we do, we try to persuade people to think exactly the way we are thinking, so that another way a person could start to think to exactly, get the purpose of that person, which is, that communicator which he is trying to achieve. So when communication is not done properly, then the purpose is actually totally killed. There are 2 ways mainly we talk. There are 2 types of speakers. One who impose their thoughts on the audience. There are certain type of people who are only going to impose their thoughts on their audience. There is another way we can actually talk. There is another way we can actually communicate, and that is collaborative. That is cooperative way of communication, you see. When we impose our ideas, when we impose our thoughts on somebody, we may, make the other person go silent, but we will not win the heart of that, person. We will not impress that person to have another way of thinking seated in his or her head. When we talk, whenever we talk, there is one thing taking place. Either we are doing argument or we are doing communication. When we are having an argument taking place, then we are in the fiery mode, you see. Everybody would be coming up with the best possible way to prove the other person wrong. When we are in this way, communicating with somebody, then we are being negative, you see. Because we are not trying to communicate our thoughts or ideas, we are rather more trying to win the argument. But if you really want to bring change in this world, then we need to alter the way we communicate. If we really want to bring the change in the world, then we need to persuade the people who are actually living in this world that there is another way a thought can be thought of, just like that. So that can only be done through cooperation, through collaboration. Many times, if I draw a 6 over here, so this 6 is actually 6 for me, but the person sitting on the other side of table, this is going to be 9 for that person. So many time we are having a debate on a matter in which we are trying to prove each other wrong, but you see from the angle that person is looking at the stuff, you see that person is looking at the information which is correct for that person, you see. Like again the same example, this is 6 for me, but this is 9 for the other person. And likewise, many times when we talk, you see, many times we have like different choice of words. Many times we are communicating the same thoughts. Many times we are communicating the same ideas, only we do not have patience to listen to other person. Only we are just there to prove other person wrong. Just because of that fact, we do not listen to what other person is actually talking about. But if we only pay little importance to, if we only pay little respect to what other person is talking, then we get to know that the other person is talking the same thing, but only with a different angle. Many times, you see, in marketing, there is this famous statement that, until and unless you will not try option number 2, you will not come to know what you have been missing. You see, now this is the beauty of communication, that when we are enforcing our ideas on somebody, then we are not letting the person change the way that person is actually living their life. If we really want to bring change in the life of people, then we need to learn to talk with patience. We should give respect to other person who's actually, who's having a talk. Because when we start paying respect, when we become more cooperative, when we listen to the ideas of other person, then what we actually discover. Many times what we discover is that the other person is actually talking the same thing. Only the angle that person is actually coming from is a little different. The other thing which we get to discover is, maybe a new thought. Maybe we are wrong at that point, there may be a certain point on which I might be thinking that I am correct. But if I pay respect to the other person, then what I might going to discover is the right way that, that thought I should be thinking, regarding a particular matter. So when I go cooperative in my communication, I pay respect to the person who I am actually talking to. I get to learn new things. I become able to bring change in this world. I actually become able to make the other person start living a life which I actually want that person to start living like. Even the presidents, even the prime ministers, even the politicians, they need to talk with intelligence. If we are not cooperative, if we are stubborn, if we are dictator, if we are imposing our thoughts, then we are not winning the talk, we are only winning the argument. So the crux of the matter is, let's stop argumenting with each other. Let's start discussing with each other so that we could bring change in this world.